Hey everyone, welcome to today's lesson. My name is Wes, the channel is Interactive English, and in case this happens to be your first time here, please say hello in the comments, in the chat. I just love hearing from you guys. Tell me where you're from. But the channel is all about just trying to help you improve your English skills. And today it's a vocabulary lesson. We're going to be talking about some very common and useful phrases that I think you hear in just everyday English. And we're going to be doing a little bit of a quiz. That's what I've turned this into so that you can participate. This is, after all, interactive English. So I want you guys, you can write your answer in the comments, in the chat. And as we go through this, I'll try to give some shout outs as well. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about binomial pairs. That's what we're going to be focused on. What I will do is I will link up here a playlist to some lessons that I've already done on binomial pairs. All of the phrases that we're going to look at from today's quiz are taken from some of those lessons. Right now, I think I've done 3 different lessons on binomial pairs, so you can check those out. It's good to kind of practice, reinforce what you've already learned, and that's really what this is all about. Hopefully, maybe you've seen those lessons, and this is a good refresher to see how much you remember. And if some of these are new, if this is the first time that you're going to be practicing and learning some of these phrases, that's also great. The more exposure you get, the better. You're just going to build your vocabulary, learn new phrases, and improve your skills. So I think it's important. The first thing that we talk about, if we're talking about binomial pairs, is just understanding what is a binomial pair. We're talking about an expression that contains 2 words that are joined by a conjunction. And the conjunction is usually and or. Those are the 2 conjunctions that are often going to combine the 2 words. That is not always the case, but most of the time it is and or that's going to connect these 2 words, and that is what we call a binomial pair. And I know that when we go through this and you see some of the phrases, I'm pretty sure you're going to recognize some of them and be like, oh, okay, yes, I've heard of this phrase before. I've seen it used. Maybe you know it as well. Then that's great. But these, like I said, these are kind of common phrases that you can use in everyday conversation. So let's begin with this. We're going to start a little easier. I think it's going to be a little easier, and then it'll get more and more difficult as we go through it. So the first part that I have is just a multiple choice. So here is the binomial pair, loud and clear. So you see those 2 words, loud, clear. It's joined by the conjunction and we get the phrase loud and clear. What do you think it means? Write your answers in the chat. If you're watching this later, write your answers in the comments. It's good. Use it like it's a piece of paper. And if you want to practice even a little more, write a sentence using this binomial pair. And if I see a sentence that I like, I will read that out loud if you want to practice a little more. So loud and clear, is it A, easily understandable, B, too noisy, or C, able to know what will happen? Overwhelmingly. All right, you guys are rocking this. Excellent. Lolly, Gertrudis, great to see some members. Takayo, good job. Also, some speak up students. Juliana, perfect. So, Rose said, yes, it's a piece of cake. Excellent. Yes, this one I think is a little easy. This first part is going to be a little easier. The answer is A. It means that something is clear and easily understandable. So this is a little bit of an introduction to binomial pairs, giving you the multiple choice. And I think just to give you some context for this, it would be like I'm giving you some instructions, telling you what we're going to do. Oh, we're doing a quiz. The first part is binomial pairs, and this is what we're going to do. Do you understand? You could just say loud and clear. That tells me, yes, I understand what you're saying loud and clear. Or maybe people would ask if you can hear somebody, like, oh, can you hear me? Do you understand what I'm saying? And you could respond loud and clear. So I'll also try to give you some examples as to how you may use some of these phrases. The next binomial pair, give or take. So here, again, we have those two words, give, take. They're going to be combined using that conjunction, or, and we get the phrase give or take. All right? What do you think? The answers. Getting some good sentences from me, like Abdul Rashid, your lessons are loud and clear. Excellent. I understand you loud and clear. Thank you, Lolly. Those are great examples for loud and clear. So give or take, does it mean A, undetermined, B, usually, C, approximately? And as I was doing this, I felt like, this is going to be too easy, because I think giving you the meaning, it was actually hard to try to think of other answers to include that might be a little tricky. So everyone, yes, was overwhelmingly saying the correct answer. The answer is C. All right. If you're talking about give or take, it means approximately. So in this case, you're going to be talking about like typically a number or an amount. And if you're trying to say approximately, you would say give or take, plus or minus some unknown amount. Often I think people are going to maybe use this at the end of a sentence. And I might say, how many people live in your city or live in your town? And you might, well, maybe, 100,000, give or take. So when you put give or take at the end of it, it's telling the other person that, oh, you're just approximating. You're guessing as to how much. So again, we're talking about an amount or some number. And if you say that and then follow it with give or take, then we know, okay, you're just saying approximately. That's just kind of a close guess. The next binomial pair, not all of these are going to be multiple choice as well. All or nothing, right? Again, we got two words connected by that conjunction. Or, what do you think it means? Hadi-Hassan has good sentence. I live 5 kilometers away from the subway, give or take. Yeah, all right, excellent. That works. It's approximately 5 kilometers. What do you think? All or nothing? A, do completely. B, leave unfinished. Or C, non-negotiable. And I think often to again give you a little context for this, because maybe it's not the full meaning that I'm giving you. I will show it to you. It's when you're kind of talking about something, people will most often use it as just the sentence like, it's all or nothing. All right? It's all or nothing. And typically you're talking to somebody about something that you might, you're maybe planning to do, and you say, well, it's all or nothing. We're either going to do all of it or we're not going to do any of it. So in that case, all right, the answer would really be A. All right, you're talking about doing something completely. So I know I put, maybe some of you put C, like maybe thrown off like non-negotiable. I guess, again, depending on the context, maybe that would work. I told you I had some trouble trying to think of some other possible answers that might be a little tricky. But the most important thing is that you understand the meaning of it. You're either doing something completely or not at all. And then you would say like, oh, it's all or nothing. We're either going to do all of it or none of it. And people could say it's all or nothing. So again, this is the most important part, A or C. I guess, again, in a context, you could say maybe non-negotiable. It's all or nothing. The next one, and this is the last multiple choice that I have for you. Ins and outs. What does this mean? And are we talking about the detailed facts of something? Are we talking about an ever-changing situation, or just saying something from a different point of view? If you haven't noticed, I think before I pinned a comment in the chat from yesterday. And, well, maybe I don't want to give it away, but you guys can see it right there. I said, I'm going to teach you the ins and outs of these different binomial pairs. And I think that kind of is a bit of a hint, it kind of gives it away. I think this is a binomial pair you may often use with the verb like teach or learn something. Teach, learn, or know. You know the ins and outs of something, or you're going to learn the ins and outs, or I'm going to teach you the ins and outs, which most of you said A. Yes, we're talking about the detailed or complicated facts of some situation or something, and you know the ins and outs. So yeah, I want to teach you the ins and outs of these binomial pairs. I want to teach you the details, the complicated facts, the different ways that you can use them or that you may hear them being used. So this is the first part, which I think you guys did pretty well. It was multiple choice. Now I want to switch it on you, and what I'm doing is for the next part, I'm going to give you a sentence with part of the binomial pair. And I want you to complete it. Complete the binomial pair with the unknown word. So let's look at the first one. And again, you could write the word in the chat or the comments. And then I'll tell you what the meaning is. And probably you could probably guess what the meaning is based on the context. So here is the first sentence right here. The team didn't cheat. They won the match fair and... So this is a binomial pair. What word would you use to complete this sentence? What do you think? Doing this quiz lesson, complete this sentence with the binomial pair, and then I'm going to tell you the binomial pair, and I will also give you the meaning just as a reminder of what it is. Great job. Excellent. Sleepwalker, Anastasia, Zenat, Lolly. The binomial pair is fair and square. So if you say that something is fair and square, it means that it is done honestly, according to the rules. And often I think that you would talk about, you might use it in the context of winning. And you would say that, oh, we won fair and square. That there was no cheating, that you won honestly, you won fair and square. I think that is a common sentence that people might use this binomial pair with if you're saying that, well, we won fair and square, or it was fair and square. The match was fair and square, it was done honestly. Then there's the next phrase. Excellent, great job, awesome. Gertrudis, Vicky, awesome. Yeah, Lolly gave a great example. I beat you fair and square. I won fair and square. Excellent, great example. This one, there's no real damage to the furniture. Just imagine there's some furniture, and I'm telling you, there's no real damage to the furniture. There's just a little and tear. So maybe this is also pretty easy since I'm kind of giving you part of the binomial pair. So there's no and tear. This is another expression that I think is, I think it's pretty useful, especially depending on the context. If you're talking about, well, especially in this situation. Excellent. Gertrudis, Lolly, Mary, Dennis, wear and tear. That is the binomial pair. Wear and tear refers to damage or depreciation resulting from ordinary use. The situation in which I think this would be commonly used is if you perhaps rent an apartment and you're signing some type of agreement, and typically in the contract it would say, like, you cannot break or destroy the property, but normal wear and tear is acceptable because this is talking about just ordinary use, and over time things kind of, well, maybe they don't get damaged, but they depreciate. And you could say that's just normal wear and tear. Or if you're going to sell a car and somebody asks you, oh, is there anything wrong with the car? And you say, no, there's just normal wear and tear, just normal depreciation from use over time, normal wear and tear. Great job on that one. Here's the next one that I have for you. It was dangerous driving back home in that storm. I'm just glad we're back home safe and what expression, what binomial pair am I talking about in this? So you know the situation. It was dangerous, some dangerous situation about there was some storm outside. And I can say, I'm just glad we're back home safe and what do you think? So I think, again, I told you these expressions are very common. So I think you probably have heard of them before, and perhaps maybe I hope to be jogging your memory a little bit, or you've just seen these previous lessons about binomial pairs and you just remember the information because you guys are awesome. So excellent. Lali, Gertrudis, Saya, Ambil. The binomial pair is safe and sound. So really, instead of saying safe, because it kind of means the same thing, you're safe from danger and free from any kind of injury or harm, and you would just kind of just use the expression safe and sound. And I don't know why I tend to think people associate home as being safe and sound. And that's why I used it in that example saying, well, we're back home safe and sound, or I just want to know that you made it back safe and sound. I hope that all of you guys right now are safe and sound. We have, of course, the pandemic that's going on, and I hope that all of you are safe and sound. That is a way that I could use this. So I have more questions, but one more like this where I want you to complete the binomial pair. And here is the next one. I hope that all of you have been improving your English by leaps and what? What word would finish that one? Leaps and All right. What do you think? And this is true. I think I mentioned this in the last video lesson that I've talked to you about. I hope that you all improve your English by leaps and what? All right. Okay, so excellent. All right, you guys did a great job. You're doing a great job on this one too. Mary, Flavio, Suhana, Sleepwalker, Gertrudis. The binomial pair is leaps and bounds. And I'm going to throw by before that. And what this means is just very, very quickly. I think I'm going to add to that instead of just saying like quickly, because leaps and bounds doesn't just have to mean quickly. It could just mean like to a great degree. So if I say like, I hope you're improving your English by leaps and bounds, I'm saying like to a great degree, basically saying that I hope you're improving your English a lot. So it doesn't always just have to be about speed, like very quickly, but by leaps and bounds, like quick, but by a great degree as well. I think I should have added that in there, which is why I'm telling you now. So yes, Zanat, we're improving by leaps and bounds. I'm happy to hear that. Remember to include by. So that's why I put it here. Typically, I'd say that you could also just think of this as part of the binomial pair, by leaps and bounds. All right, now what I want to do, and we'll see, I think this part is going to be more difficult, but who knows? You guys have been rocking this quiz so far. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the meaning. I'm not going to tell you the binomial pair. I want you to tell me the phrase. Tell me the phrase that matches this meaning. Because now you're familiar with what a binomial pair is. You understand it. Two words connected that are often connected by and or. So hopefully that makes it easier. So the first one, we're talking about the advantages and disadvantages of something. That is the meaning of which binomial pair. What phrase has this meaning? And this is one that I feel like I tend to use a lot, especially in the Speak Up class that I have. We talk about different topics, and maybe I present a situation, and I would use this binomial pair quite often. So I think this one is one that, well, I feel like I say, like, you probably see it a lot. I know I see it a lot because I just told you I use it quite often. And yes, excellent. Lali, Maria, Gertrudis, Jacqueline, Takayo, Kim. Pros and cons. So if you're referring to the pros and cons, the advantages would be the pros, the disadvantages would be the cons. And I told you, as a teacher, I think if I'm trying to present a situation, and especially for discussion, and have other people share their thoughts and opinions, I would ask, like, well, what do you think? Here's the situation. What are some of the pros and cons? And then we would talk about the advantages and disadvantages, the pros and cons. The next one is, maybe, I don't know if this would be easy or difficult, but the meaning is when you are at a point, you reach a point that you will not tolerate the situation anymore. And you might get angry and lose your patience, and you would say that you are okay? You are and that, well, here's the meaning. You can't tolerate anymore, and you would use this binomial pair. And to give you, in case I feel like one person would get it and then everybody's, oh yes. I was going to say, to give you a little hint, this binomial pair is often followed by the preposition of. So you are of something. And excellent. The answer is sick and tired. All right, great job, Lali, Gertrudis, Sid, Saya, Hadi. When you're sick and tired of something, because I told you you're often going to follow it with of. When you're sick and tired of something, it's like when you're like I said, you're at that point, you can't tolerate it anymore. I'm sick and tired of my boss telling us to work late. I'm sick and tired of it. So I think you could probably always think of things at work that you are sick and tired of. So this is a good phrase, because I think there are many things that apply to this where you're just like, I can't take it anymore. Juliana folded the head. So Natalia says fed up with. Yeah, it's very similar to that phrasal word. If you're fed up with something, you're at that point, I can't take it anymore. You're sick and tired of it. The next one, and I'll give you a little hint for this one as well, if you can't think of it. We're talking about a small amount at a time and gradual. What would you say? A small amount at a time, something that's gradual, and you would say, And I'll give you a moment to think about it before I give you that hint. And then we'll see. Again, I think you guys could probably get this. Think of a situation. If instead of saying like, well, I'm improving, you're improving your English gradually, or you're improving a small amount at a time, what would you say? All right. Okay. Excellent. On. Got the one. Yeah, there actually, now that you guys throw some in there, there are some other ones that you could use. The one that yes, Lali, Zanat, the one that I'm thinking of, and then I'll address some of the others that you had mentioned, little by little. The hint that I was going to give you, which I now realize I forgot, was going to say that this binomial pair uses by. So we're not using and or. That's not always the case. With some binomial pairs, there will be other words. So we're connecting little by little. We're talking about one, like just gradually. It's slowly improving, and you could say little by little. Some of you put a few others. Let me address some of that. Slow and steady. Slow and steady is another binomial pair. And I think that one would also, that fits that context. If you're talking about gradually, you could say slow and steady. There's a famous expression when you think of the tortoise and the hare, that story, slow and steady wins the race, that you keep moving forward, slow and steady. Another one that people had talked about was step by step. I think that one could also apply as well, that you're doing something step by step. I think step by step to me means more like one at a time, that you're focusing, you're doing one thing before moving on to the next thing. So in a way, it has somewhat of a similar meaning. But if I think of like the situation, the example that I gave you, like you're improving little by little, you could, I think, step by step, you could use that, but at the same time, I think step by step mostly think is like more instructions, kind of, that you know what you need to be doing. We're doing it step by step. I think of like some situation in which maybe you need to kind of follow one order and you're just doing it one at a time. You're doing it step by step. Or like even in a relationship, people might say like, how are things going in your relationship? And you'd say, yeah, we're taking it step by step. We're just moving along one thing at a time, step by step. Then there's this one right here. I'm hoping I'm hoping one will be a little more difficult for you guys. We're talking about instructions and warnings about what you should and should not do in a particular situation. I say situation or time. I forgot to put that word in there. That bottom part there, that's a slight typo. So we're talking instructions and warnings about what you should and should not do in a particular time, in a particular situation or time. What binomial pair has this meaning? Okay, so you guys got that? All right. Yes, great job, Lali, Namrata, Anpan, Flavio, Dipanjan. Oh, Mary, thank you so much for the super chat. Awesome. Jumped in. Awesome. I really appreciate that. The answer, we're talking about do's and don'ts. Okay, so do's and don'ts. If you're telling somebody, okay, instructions, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, you would describe this. These are the do's and don'ts. And I think you would often hear people use like the do's and don'ts, perhaps like at some situation at work or even in a classroom. Like I might be telling new students about, well, these are the rules of the classroom, like these, the do's and the don'ts. So in some context, some situation where you're trying to tell somebody about the things they should do or the things they should not do, you're basically giving that person the do's and don'ts. You're providing them with the do's and don'ts, which is very important, a very useful binomial pair. One that I think could be used in a variety of situations. So I hope that, again, this was review from some of those previous lessons. I will link that up here if you'd like to go through and actually watch those lessons, as well as learn more binomial pairs. I suggest that you guys go check that out. But you guys did overwhelmingly incredible today. I'm very impressed. Round of applause. Great job. But I appreciate you joining me. I hope that maybe you learned some new expressions. These are rather informal expressions that you could use in just casual English. Also want to mention, if you guys like what we do, want to show us some love, you can support our channel. There are links in the description down below if you'd like to become a member or a patron. I've seen some members in here today, Lali, Gertrudis, patrons like Takayao. Or even with those super chats like Mary Dakma. Big shout out to you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All of it kind of helps keep this going. Also saw Vicky in here today, another member. Really appreciate your guys' love and support. So again, this is good practice, these quizzes. It's also a good way for it to be a little more interactive, that I can talk to you guys a little bit, say your names if you're giving the correct answer. Sorry if I couldn't get to everyone. It kind of scrolls through quickly. But I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And I hope that you all have a wonderful week. Thanks. Good to see you. Just give some quick more shout outs. Hello, Nuria Zanat. Thank you. Lali, good to see you as always. Shwana, glad you enjoyed the lesson. Hi, Esther. Gertrudis. Juliana, another Speak Up student. Excellent. Thanks for joining us, Juliana. Sleepwalker, Kim, Abu, Namrata. Hope, thank you guys. And yeah,